Hey guys, welcome to Fantasy Adventure Machine. I'm Keith, and I'm part of the F.A.M. I'm super excited that we're going to do this project. We've been working on it for a really long time. Basically, we are an actual play podcast that uses the Fate system to tell a superhero story. This is episode 0, and in this episode, you're going to learn about the story, the rules of Fate, and you're going to get to know some of our players and the characters that they're going to play. We had a lot of fun with this as we were getting ready to publish and produce, and even though we have probably no business even doing this, my hope is just that somebody out there will enjoy this content. If that's you, hit us up and let me know. But for now, we're going to move on over to my buddy Dan, who's going to tell you all about the story. Take it away, Dan.
So, we've been talking a lot about what kind of story to tell, because that's where the focus of our podcast is going to be, the storytelling. We wanted something that really leans into the way Fate works, and possibly allow more than one person to be the game master, or GM for short, so we all get a chance to play characters. This led us to think more episodically with an overarching plot. Just like something you'd find on TV, I think what we finally landed on knocks it out of the park. In a world where heroes are...
Okay.
No, absolutely not. Okay. No.
Dan,
narrator voice is
Fine.
done.
about this.
Done.
Fine. I'll just do normal. In the future, corporates have gotten their hands on the ability to time travel. What have they done with such powerful technology, you ask? Created an empire of time-traveling tours and timeshares, of course. Oh, come on. You weren't thinking they would do something sinister with that tech now, were you? Though, someone sinister has gotten their grimy mitts on that tech and is using it for their own nefarious purpose. Enter Captain Vic Connor and Beth, the bioelectric time hopper, who have been tasked by an agency of time correctors to right the wrongs these time bandits have caused. Unable to take on such a task themselves, they asked Beth to run an algorithm to find heroes across all points of the timeline who, if taken out of the timeline, wouldn't create an anomaly, and who would be best suited to help on this dangerous mission. That is where the heroes of our story come into play. Picked up from various points in the timeline, they are tasked to take down these time bandits and restore order to the time vortex. Else, the whole of reality could come collapsing in on itself and end the universe as we know it. That being said, let's talk about how Fate works. Logan, take it away.
All right. So as Dan mentioned, we're going to be using the Fate system, which is not the most common role-playing system. And we're going to be using a slightly modified version of the Fate system. The modification is whatever we get wrong is what we intended. With that said, let me give you some basics of Fate so you can follow along with the story and what's going on. The most important thing each character has is a set of skills. These skills can be chosen from a list, like physique, athletics, will, so on and so forth, or you can make your own skills if they fit your character better. That makes Fate a very engaging and easy system for you to use anywhere in any setting. These skills will be rated at 0 to 4 to begin with. Later they can improve. Whenever you make a roll, you roll for what are called fudge dice. Fudge dice are 6-sided dice with 2 pluses, 2 minuses, and 2 blank sides. You'll simply add or subtract the dice from your skill rating, and that will give you your number. The number corresponds to a ladder, which starts at fair and goes all the way up to legendary. So when you roll your 4 dice, and that will give you your result on the ladder. The game master will then say, yeah, that's good enough, or no, that's not good enough. If that's not good enough, there's a few options. One is the game master can say, you succeeded, but at a cost. And that cost can be something like you took damage or something else went terribly wrong. You also have a limited store of what are called fate points. All of our characters will be starting out with 3 fate points that they'll use over the course of a single adventure. You can use these fate points to invoke a few different kinds of things on the scene. You can invoke a character aspect. For example, a knight might have a character aspect heavily armored, which could help improve their physique so they don't take damage. You also can use a scene aspect. So for instance, if you're chasing down an alley and you fail your roll, you can invoke the scene aspect Stray Cat to trip up your pursuer. In addition, each character has stunts which are very impressive human things they can do, like run very fast or be very good at parkour. Or you can invoke an extra, a superhuman power. Usually this costs a fate point and does something really awesome. You might say, geez, 3 fate points means you can influence 3 roles. Maybe that's not enough. Well, if that's the case, you can get a few more fate points by getting into trouble. Every character has a weakness, a flaw, a kryptonite. And if that is invoked by the game master, or if you invoke it yourself, that can give you a fate point back. For instance, our knight cannot turn down a challenge. And so the game master says, you know what? You can't run away from this fight even though you want to. I'm invoking your trouble. Can't avoid a challenge. The knight can then say, yes, I will stay. And the game master will give them a fate point. If they say, no, I want to run away, they can totally do that. But they have to give the game master a fate point.
Wait, hold on. But you're saying that if I refuse a trouble, I have to give Dad a fate point?
Keith, we've been playing this for 3 months.
At least 5.
Yes. If you're making an opposed roll, for instance, if you're in combat, you'll roll attack versus defense. And if the attack is higher, you subtract the defense from the attack. And that will be the number of shift hit that's inflicted. So if our knight rolls a 6 against his opponent, who rolls a 4, that would be a 2 shift hit. Everyone has a few boxes of temporary damage called stress that, when used, does nothing. They're fine. They just took a little bit of a graze. If you use up your stress, you'll start taking real consequences, which the GM can invoke to damage you and hurt you on your rolls. And that's the basic rules of fate. We'll mostly stick with that, unless we don't. All right, so now you know about why we're doing this podcast, because we're idiots. What the story is, idiots in time, and what the rules are, we'll ignore them because we're idiots. So now let's talk about our characters. So speaking of idiots, here's my brother Nathan.
Thanks, Logan. I'm Nathan Crawford, and I'll be playing a character pulled directly from fiction, Professor Abraham Van Helsing. I chose this character because I read the original Dracula during the pandemic, and I fell in love with the book. But mostly, I fell in love with Abraham Van Helsing. His character is written so differently than popular culture portrays him. He's sweet, kind, intelligent, uplifting to others, inspiring, progressive thinking, and he's a hero. But what sets him apart from normal men isn't his knowledge and expertise in how to fight the supernatural. It is his open-mindedness. In Dracula, it is his open mind that allows him to come to the conclusion that vampirism must be the diagnosis of Lucy Westernraw, one of his patients. You get a good idea of the kind of man he is and how he thinks when he tries to convince a doctor friend of his that the diagnosis is correct, as crazy as it seems. Here's a quote from the book. My thesis is this. I want you to believe. To believe what? To believe in things you cannot. Let me illustrate. I heard once of an American who so defined faith, that faculty which enables us to believe things which we know to be untrue. For one, I follow that man. He meant we shall have an open mind and not let a little bit of truth check the rush of a big truth, like a small rock does a railway truck. I hope to do the wonderful character of Professor Abraham Van Helsing justice in our story. And that's it for me. Let me introduce you to my sugar mama, Sarah May.
Thanks, Nathan. I'm Sarah May. I'm Nathan's wife, and I'm playing a character called Charlotte Rossetti. She is a self-confident influencer who's emotionally unavailable and oblivious. So those are my high concept and trouble in an order there. She's affectionately known as Char by her friends, has always believed that she has an incredible ability to influence others. She's never seen herself as a hero, but has assumed that her abilities were just because of her charm and her wits. She has a large online presence, having made her name in lifestyle and comedy live streaming. If you were to meet her in the street, then she would probably hand you a business card that had gold leaf on it, and it would say, lifestyle expert with a heart of gold. I was really excited to play a character like this. I really like kind of going into and analyzing character growth from a standpoint of a change of heart or changing your attachments to the people around you and stuff like that. So very excited to play her. Off to you, Logan.
All right, so my character is Chaos Overclock, not his legal name. He is a 17-year-old boy who was taken from the year 1997. Chaos is his hacker name because he is a teenage hacker genius. Chaos was raised in the suburbs of Iowa by a middle-class family and has nothing wrong in his life. So he has the trouble of angst and arrogance because life is very hard and he knows everything. His special ability is that he is preternaturally good with all technology. He follows the Jeff Goldblum School of Technology, where a MacBook can hack an alien warship. Being a white male from Middle America, he believes that he is always the protagonist and anything he does is right because he is the good guy. And that's about all you need to know about Chaos Overclock. So with Chaos out of the way, let me pass you on to my sister, Sarah Jean, to explain her character.
Thanks, Logan. Like he said, my name is Sarah Jean. He's my brother, and I am Nathan's sister. And I'm going to give you the lowdown on Effie Derringer. She was born in the 1940s in the circus. Her dad's the ringmaster. He got a special gift from his mom, a little bit of the psychic powers. And he was going around as they traveled the country doing little acts of good that were butterfly affecting to really mess up some nefarious time travelers. They couldn't have themselves mess up the timeline to take him out, so they kidnapped Effie and transformed her into a cyborg with instructions to assassinate her father in what looked like a shooting accident. Unfortunately, she succeeded. Not surprising considering she was a sharpshooter before she became a cyborg. The result of that assassination was that she splintered her personality and she is out for revenge. Over to you, Keith.
So, I'm Keith. I am Sarah's lesser half. I am the editor of Fantasy Adventure Machine. So if you hear any glitches or mistakes on the recording, don't tell me. My ego is fragile enough as it is. I chose to play Archibald Zuman III. He is a 6'3" Australian zoologist who was working at Taronga Zoo when he got into an accident with a rare talisman. I mean, you've heard the story before. Boy meets talisman, talisman gets broken, boy gets supernatural powers. Well, turns out Zoo can turn into the animals that he quote-unquote understands. With that comes a whole lot of issues, like, for example, their instincts taking over or, losing himself in the joy of flying or swimming into deep ocean, that kind of stuff. Zoo's high concept is Dr. Dolittle complex. He's always been really fascinated with animals and really envious of what they can do. And so he is always super curious about the creatures that are found along the way or anything unusual in the timeline or nature he has found himself in. His trouble is the brawn over brain, which basically means that when he goes into a certain animal form, especially one that he's not really familiar with, things can get a bit messy. Whether that messy is throwing someone off a roof or throwing poop into somebody's face.
There's no shame in that.
We don't really know, but it's kind of fun to find out together. All right, well, back to you, Dan.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan, and I'm adopted. I'll be the main GM, and we'll also be playing all of the NPCs.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed episode 0 and you're looking forward to getting this story started just like we are. Episode 2 will be coming out same time next week, and then from there we're moving to a bi-weekly schedule every other Monday. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as Fantasy Adventure Machine. Check us out wherever you find your podcasts. See you at Joy and Ted's wedding. Welcome to the fam.